Welcome, Taurus, to your Taurus September 2021 reading. I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and to the subscribers, much love and affection to you always. I love to see you, and you're in my thoughts throughout the entire month. Now, actually I've done some personal readings for some of you over the course of the last month, and details of that from anywhere in the world can be seen in the description box. But now, let us take 5 cards, because haven't we found that 5 is all we need? They have a lot to say to us, you and I, when we get together. So let's start and see mystically which ones are coming to the fore. Now, this is the first. That is the 9 of Cups. Here is the 6 of Cups. Good Lord. It's a very, very, very auspicious cards. Let's see what else comes with them, because of course, as you know, the cards, what they have to say depends on the other cards which are around them, what their suits are, the elements, and the numerology of the card as well. What's this here? The 3 of Cups. This is the 4 of Cups. Gee, it's all cups. What else is there? Do we see what there is going to be coming through here for you, Taurus? Number 16, Kali, shattering the structure. Well, it seems that some of the names in this deck are different to those that we're normally familiar with, but that doesn't matter, because what they will do is they will speak to us anyway. So why don't you come now, sit down here next to me, I'll make some room for you. We'll have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. Then now, can you see? Oh, that's interesting. You've got the 3, 4, 6, 9 of Cups, and this card called Kali. I think we might do the cups in order, shall we? Let's do that. Let's have a look to see this central card here. This deck, I think, really just wants to have a conversation with you, you know, and it might be predictive of things that are going on as well. Let me see what's coming through. This is called Receiving Grace, it says. Now here we see an angel pouring from an urn, while elves and fairies play in the stream of abundance. Receiving grace. Now, this abundance isn't something that is earned, but rather it is something that is given to you freely. Your challenge is to receive it. This is largely a matter of perception. Now, caught in the inflated expectations of modern culture, our personal deprivation story as well, and you have your own personal deprivation story, don't you? I think everybody does. Then I think that what can happen is that you may not recognize really how fortunate really that you are. You can get stuck in what isn't quite right and lose awareness of how much you have going for you. This is what this is saying. Giving thanks and practicing gratitude are part of what can open you to receive. When you revel in what you are given, a sense of plenty saturates your consciousness and colors your perception. Rather than feeling frustrated and deprived, you begin to feel blessed because you are. You experience the world as generous and responsive to your needs. It is as if the world, like a good parent, sees you and meets you. But if your feelings, needs, and essential nature were not adequately mirrored as children, and you haven't made up for this deficit, it will be harder to experience the world as meeting you in this way. There's no doubt about that. Because without adequate mirroring, you can wilt inside. Let those things go, because you can feel inadequate and disconnected. It is as if you had dropped an anchor in the past and it is still holding you. Doubting yourself, you're unable to stay in your power or hold your seat, as I suppose you might say. One more limited sense of self, along with a view of the world as withholding, makes it harder to receive the grace that is given. That's one of the secrets of attraction, you know. One of the compensations that can issue from this situation is that of extreme self-reliance, not expecting anyone to be there for you. You can become determined to take care of yourself. And this can create a hard shell that makes you less receptive to others' generosity. You can become both less receptive to the help of other people and to support from the invisible realms. To open to grace, you must relax and trust a little. You must let go of unworthiness and other attitudes that you have developed over the years that get in the way. It is essential to move away from old deprivation stories and scarcity consciousness and see what is actually there. This energy is an invitation to recognize and work through the barriers and shift your perspective to one of gratitude and abundance. Now, some of that may come about and require you to, and I'm looking at this mask here, to untie, and it talks about, what's it say? Untying the mask. Okay. Untying the mask. Well, what's it saying to me? Look, we all want to have a sense of self that we can be proud of or feel good about. When we get disconnected from our own basic goodness because of negative feedback from our environment, we may try to make up for that by developing an image of who we want to be or who we think we should be. We then try to support and maintain this image by developing certain personas or masks, don't we? We all have masks, and you've got plenty of masks in your wardrobe. But the more false the persona, the more support it takes to maintain it, of course. Now, I guess in psychological language, this leads to an unhealthy narcissism. I'm not saying that's you, but it can do with others, where they require constant adoration to keep the image in place. But you know, feeling empty underneath and wanting desperately to protect your image, you can react angrily when someone challenges it. Let me just say that. When you can accept yourself in your imperfections, realizing that you don't have to be better than others, or better than you indeed are, you can be more authentic. It also helps if you can remember that the negative feelings you are keeping at bay are only feelings. They're not real. When you are more objective about yourself, you are less in the throes of these negative self-images. We are, I guess, most likely to put on a mask when a negative self-concept has been triggered. We believe that this negative image is true and we don't want others to know this, so we cover up. We may also grab for our mask in situations where we think we have to fulfill certain expectations. The problem is not so much having this persona available, but the problem is getting so lost in it that you lose touch with all the other aspects of yourself. This energy has come here, I think, because it is inviting you to see what kind of masks you have developed. You can concretize this, if I would put it like that, by actually making the mask with the characteristics you want others to see. What makes it so important to be seen this way? Is it true that your more authentic self is actually, in reality, so unattractive? So this is saying to you that this is a good time to experiment with taking off your mask. And I think that you will discover, for sure, that people like you just the way you are. And this liking of other people liking you just the way you are is definitely here, because this Six of Cups is the first card that you drew. Now let me have a look at the Six of Cups. What are you telling me? It says sharing support. Well, the first thing that I'll say about this is that this is the sun ruling the second decan of Scorpio, and numerologically I have the sun in the number 6 as well. I also have a great, this energy also has a great affinity with Christ consciousness, with Krishna consciousness, and I notice there's another Hindu card here, or with the consciousness of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he received the Quran from the Archangel Gabriel. But that having been said, what this is talking about here is that we have a double dose of the sun, and the double, because it's the sun in the 6, and it's the sun for me ruling the second decan of Scorpio, and the double sun exposes and reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. There's a period here where your fear of disappointment is being overcome. Body and soul are being purified and are ready for pleasurable interaction with the beloved. This is a very, for me, the energy that's coming around here is very highly sexualized. So I see here pleasure, indulgence, sexual pleasure in particular, excitement, maybe communication with ancestors, family support. The pleasure, though, the pleasure is a kind of pleasure which is completely harmonized. Now, the zodiac sign for me governing this card, being Scorpio, well, pleasure here is rooted in its most convenient soil, isn't it? This is a preeminently fertile card, and actually it's one of the best in the pack. This energy is an invitation to give yourself up to the richness of your own emotionality. You may experience this as a jump into water, as the tingling anticipation of diving deeply, of disappearing, of letting go. Rising to the surface, you are refreshed. This is the process of death and rebirth. It's that Scorpio element. And the result of taking the risk is deep emotional purification and renewal. I have here also the sense that there is pleasure now being received after what has been much hardship, really. You could also be, I'm just looking at the way this energy is flowing through and into this person here. You might well be undergoing a period of healing and transformation, but the emphasis here is on a relationship, or the desire to have a relationship that will improve both the individuals, where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And with the relationship, and with the existing relationship that you have, if you're partnered, what you want, whether partnered or unpartnered, is a relationship that's deep, isn't it? You want a deep, fulfilling relationship so that you feel alive. But enjoy now all which life gives you. This is the best way to express your gratitude. Are you holding on? And this is coming from this previous card as well. This is asking you whether you are holding on to old beliefs which prevent your enjoyment of pleasure. And don't have any shame about enjoyment of pleasure. Enjoy your own emotional wealth and share it with somebody else. And say to yourself, I am now open to a partner, it could be one that you're with, or one to come into your life, with whom I can share the joys of love on all levels. Now, where's that other Cups card that's here? Here it is, the 9. Why don't we have a look at you? Hello, 9 of Cups. Well, what have you got to tell me? What do you have to tell my friend here? Well, in this painting, a woman stands alone, doesn't she? She's looking off in the distance, caught up in her thoughts. unaware of the energy in her body, which seems to be cut off, to me, at the neck. Although emotions are churning within, she doesn't let herself feel them. Now, you know that those who kind of over-intellectualize can sometimes talk a good game. Do you know what I mean by that? Even being really quite articulate about emotions. They can talk about emotions, but they just don't feel them. And when one relies heavily on this strategy, then they can become a talking head, cut off, not just from emotions, but from the rest of the body. The intellect becomes the only organ of perception. This card was saying, don't let this happen. Immerse yourself in this. So this is coming through to remind you of that, I think. Now, that type of thought pattern where you become where the mind is really just the only way in which you perceive things, which is just mad, because your heart will allow you to see and feel things that your mind will never even been able to notice. Well, that head-centered approach finds a fair amount of support in our high-tech culture today, doesn't it? And we tend to have a lot of respect for people of high intellect. Now, in this strategy, the mind is used as a shield, as something to hide behind. It gives a false sense of power and control. To use thinking to escape feeling is usually not a conscious choice, but rather a learned defense that is often the product of a childhood environment where feelings were not honored. Your parents may have been cut off from their feelings, or feelings were expressed only in destructive ways. As a child, you may have been shamed for having feelings, or your sensitivity may have been exploited. Now, since men are granted even less permission to show feelings than women, this is a strategy that's very common in men. This energy here is really, in a sense, saying that to you that it is a time to get out of your head and to open up to your feelings more. You may not see yourself as someone who uses intellectualizing as a defensive strategy, but I suppose we all do this at times. It doesn't necessarily mean being intellectual. Ordinary thinking about things, planning, any mental activity can serve you really well. But rather, if you're over-intellectualizing things, you are detoured away from your feelings and perhaps not even noticing what has happened. Now, where does that take us? It takes us to this card here. And what does this have to tell us? Kali. Kali. Well, Kali is, in Hindu culture, is the most powerful form of Shakti, the consort of Shiva. And she's the primordial cosmic energy that penetrates the entire universe. Now, traditionally, this card is called the Tower, and it is depicted by a tower being struck by a bolt of lightning. You'll be familiar with that. So the band going through the middle here, you see this thing? I'm just looking at this now. You see this band going through the middle here? I think that represents both the ego mind and traditional civilization. The fact that Kali is larger than this band reminds you that the forces of creation and destruction are much larger than the band of ordinary reality you are usually aware of. Creation and destruction have a mind of their own, and ego has little control over that. And this star down here, near the bottom, represents the dynamic energy of the universe, the essential Kali energy that it is always in motion. I guess this energy here is a reminder that you must learn to honor the creative function of destruction. An old pattern is broken up so that a new pattern can be formed. It can take a big force to break up certain patterns with you, can't it? For a number of reasons, not the least of which can very often be your own resistance. Isn't that the case? Yet even factors such as the longevity or love inherent in the pattern, well, that can also make it hard to change. A stable long-term marriage or well-established traditions are examples of forms that are not easily dissolved. Now, it seems to me that with this card having come here and placed as it is, by itself among all these other cups here, this is really saying that it is generally foreshadowing or reflecting a change that's coming into your life. Don't try to avoid it, but honor the greater wisdom of Kali, to remember that what looks like destruction is part of a larger process of creation. The challenge is to hold both the both and the and. Both are true. I mean, I know it hurts, and pain is serving a larger purpose. But during that process, I think, if you can, put off important decisions until you feel stabilized again. There's some sort of a minor earthquake coming around, I think. But remember that that earthquake is not going to hurt you, and it will pass. Order will be re-established. And I think that Kali has come not out of vengeance, but rather she has come to you out of love. Well, that's the way it is for you this month. Well, what a fantastic month for you. Great to see you again, and thank you very much for watching. It's a pleasure to be doing this with you. I do like that. And if you did like it, please do me the favor of hitting the like button. The YouTube gods like that, and it enables other people to maybe have a look at the video and enjoy what we enjoy doing ourselves. This is going to be a good month for you. I think you've got plenty to be looking forward to and things to do. So that has been food for thought, and you get together and remember this, and remember one thing always, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. So until then, it's bye for now.